Hi, I'm Alicia Butler-Pierre, host of the Business Infrastructure Podcast, the show where we offer practical tips, tactics, and tools to scale your fast-growing small business with less pain. In the video that you're about to watch, it's actually a snippet of my interview with Jeremy Streten. Before we get to the video, make sure you subscribe first so that you can continue to receive free resources to scale with less chaos. Let's get to the video. This episode is brought to you by Equilibria Incorporated, the company behind this podcast, where we design scale-ready business infrastructure for fast-growing small businesses. Years ago, I remember a consultant telling me that it's impossible to scale a service-based business. Impossible? I wondered aloud. Yeah, impossible, the consultant confidently repeated. Really? I asked. Well, how do you explain the big four? You know, McKinsey, PwC, those are global consulting firms. That consultant was silent for a bit and then said that they were exceptions and not the rule. But are they really? This is the Business Infrastructure Podcast, the show where we offer strategies, tactics, and resources to cure back office blues and to keep your business operating as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. I'm Alicia Butler-Pierre, and I must admit, there's no greater satisfaction than proving naysayers wrong. Service-based businesses can't scale, huh? Well, you're about to hear from someone who's actively dispelling that myth. Jeremy Streten is known by many titles: author, lawyer, serial entrepreneur. But perhaps one of his proudest is his role as managing director at Business Legal Lifecycle, a business he started back in 2015 in a quest to find joy at work that he could also scale. One that didn't rely on his daily presence. And he pulled it off. This is episode 217, Against All Odds. Jeremy Streten recounts how he expanded his law business internationally.
My name is Jeremy Streten. I'm a lawyer from Brisbane, Australia, on the east coast of Australia. And it will be famous in about 10 years because we have the Olympics in 2032.
Yes, Jeremy is a lawyer, but that almost didn't happen. When I first read about his background, I noticed he went to Queensland University of Technology. Naturally, I was intrigued. How did he switch from IT to law?
When I left school, law wasn't even on my mind, Alicia. I knew enough about technology to be dangerous, and everyone thought that I could do IT, so do information technology, learn about programming and things like that. And so, because everyone told me I should do that, I did that. And I hated it. And I just couldn't stand it. So it took me a few years to find law. Law in Australia is an undergraduate degree. I started law because, I was really trying to find out what I wanted to do. I did a little bit of politics for 6 months, but then I decided to do a few law subjects, and I loved it. I loved solving problems. I loved how it taught me how to learn as well, and learn how to study and learn how to research. And that was just a natural fit for me. That was the journey.
Thankfully, it didn't take Jeremy long to find a career he could be passionate about. It was official. He was on track to become a lawyer. Now he needed hands-on experience.
So I started working 6 months before I finished my university degree. There was a concept called your articles of clerkship. I'm not sure whether that happens in the US, but essentially it's a 2-year post your undergraduate degree traineeship where you learn, basically you do all the jobs that no one else wants to do, and you learn the basic way that a law firm works and all the grunt work around drafting documents. And so I actually changed my degree to part-time so that I could work full-time, because doing both at the same time was very, very difficult. It's funny, though, that by actually going in and working as an article clerk, training to be a lawyer, I got my best marks that I ever did in university in those last 12 months, because I was actually in there applying what I learned. So I did this articles of clerkship for 2 years, and then I became a lawyer. So that was in 2003 that I started that.
And by 2005, Jeremy was a bona fide lawyer. His next job landed him in a small law firm where he sharpened his saw in different branches of law, doing the work that, frankly, the partners in the firm didn't want to do. That turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
I was really a jack of all trades, as it were, in that it was all sorts of different law that I did. And I learned a lot in that time. I'm forever grateful to those guys, that they taught me so much. It was hard work, but learned a lot.
He worked there for another 6 years. Over time, his enthusiasm for a particular branch of law emerged, business law. And so did a burning desire to start a business.
And it just got to the stage, Alicia, where I didn't want to be there long term. They were going to make me partner. They were going to bring me into the ownership structure of the business. But to be honest, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to be a partner of that law firm. I do like my old bosses, like they're great guys. But the other people in the business weren't really values aligned with me, and I didn't feel like I wanted to proceed down that path.
Jeremy found a kindred spirit in Craig Mason, someone he worked with at his law firm. Together, they hatched a plan.
We decided that we would go off and do our own thing. And of course, at the time, we knew that we could run a better law firm. I say that very sarcastically. Because we thought we did, and we learned very early on that we didn't know that. We're great technicians. We can do the work. We can get in there and really help clients with their legal problems. We had no idea how to run a business. Having that kind of introspection led Jeremy and Craig to hire a business coach to help them understand how to work on and not in their new business. One of the first things they learned was the importance of networking. And so we set about building our relationships. We went to a place that was 50 kilometers, which is probably about 30 miles away from where our old office was. And we set up there and really built a client base around a new network and really bringing our expertise to a different area, which was received really well. Another thing their business coach suggested involved writing a book, an idea that Jeremy thought was absurd. And I said, who's going to read a book written by a lawyer? It'd be boring and textbook. And he just smiled at me. He smiled because, as if looking through a crystal ball, this business coach knew a book could help propel Jeremy and Craig's law firm to new heights. Coincidentally, they also happened to be learning about business life cycles as part of their training with this coach. And that's when Jeremy had an epiphany. And I had two matters. One where one client lost over $1 million of other people's money. And another one where another client almost lost over $2 million of his own money. All because they didn't take a proactive approach to their business and applying the law to their business. And I was really frustrated because I'd sit down with one of these people who came to see me after the fact. And I said, why didn't you get legal advice earlier? This is so simple to have solved a year, 2 years, 3, 4 years ago if you just got legal advice. And I got the same excuses that I've heard all my life, all my business life. Lawyers are expensive. Yeah, they charge in 6-minute increments time. And every time I pick up the phone, I'm on the clock. They speak in big words and they kind of lord it over people to say that they're smarter, or that the implication is that they're smarter. And they're just not business minded. They are more minded to solving problems after they've occurred. And it really frustrated me, Alicia. It really got to me that here was an industry, which I love working in. Here's an industry that is designed to help people, that is designed to stop people's businesses from failing. But we don't do that. We take a reactive approach where people come to us when they have a problem and we solve that problem. But they could save all that money early on if they just took a proactive approach. Okay, I hope you enjoyed watching that video. You can catch the full interview at businessinfrastructure.tv or by clicking the link in the description box below. That way you'll know exactly when the next video drops. I'll see you next time.
Join us next week for another episode of Business Infrastructure with Alicia Butler-Pierre.